This is my evaluation of my media product of a music magazine. The development of my music magazine compared to other music magazines is very similar. This is because I have tried to accomplish the same layout design that is often seen on music magazines, and then include that design on my own media product. This has included things like the placement of the Anchorage text and cell lines to the barcode. This is important because it needs to look professional and not too busy, with just the right amount of text and images. The size of the font also matters. This is because if the Anchorage text or cell lines were larger than the masthead, then it would detract from it, which would be a problem because the masthead needs to be the largest font so it can be seen, and this is why I've made that font the biggest. Main images that can be found on an actual magazine are based in the middle of the front page and take up most of the space, so that is why I've also done this for my front cover. I've used the same colour scheme throughout the front page, contents page and double page spread, which is what is expected to be seen on an actual magazine, and this is the reasoning for why I've created my pages like that. I've taken my photographs using the studio with studio lighting, the same as real media products. This makes it easy to then edit the photograph onto Photoshop, but also gives it more of a professional and similar look to the original music magazine. When looking at a real media product, I expect the house style of it to be the same all the way through, so this is why I've included the same font, colours and images all the way through my media product too, to gain the same overall professional look with my work, like real media products. My media product is presented in a way which appeals to young male and females aged from 15 to 25. I've done this by the use of colour. My colour scheme consists of black, white, light blue and pink. The dark colours make it look refined and sophisticated, which appeals to the slightly older audience, and the brighter colours appeal more to the younger audience. This combination of the two helps to appeal to both male and females who enjoy listening to pop music. Within pop music, there are different pop genres. This gives my magazine a wider range of colours and fonts to use that will link with different styles of pop, and therefore appeal to a larger audience. However, in this case, I've chosen to focus on pop rock for my double page spread, and therefore use mostly pinks, blacks, reds and whites to fit in with the scheme of a female artist, which then therefore aims to mostly the female audience. For my front cover, I have used an image of a female artist who is my main focus on my double page spread. In this case, it is Zoe Heaton. This, I think, appeals to both male and females because, for one, she's aimed at young girls because of her style of pop rock, which can be seen as girly. However, what she is wearing on the front cover can be seen as cool, and not the typical outfit that a girl would wear because of the boyish cap that she is wearing. The symbolisms of my studio image in my magazine help aim to my audience. This is because the colours in which my artist is wearing link to the colours that would originally be seen in an original media product. The hat that she is wearing on my front cover shows that it aims to boys as well as girls, because the hat is quite boyish, and shows that she may be a tomboy, which suggests her music may be quite varied and not just aimed at young girls. On the double page spread, my artist is jumping in midair, which suggests that she is a free-willed, fun character, which links to her music. Can also imply that her style of pop can be quite upbeat and fun, just like her pose on the studio image on the double page spread. The layout of this page also helps with the theme because of the angles in the boxes around the text, which shows that it isn't boring and straight, which is normally associated with a more sophisticated music style. The use of black and white Anchorage text and cell lines around the main image, I think, stand out well against the pale background and draws in the target audience, which appeals to both male and females. When constructing this media product, I have used many different technologies to create it. One of these technologies includes Photoshop. When it came to design and create my pages for my magazine, I had some experience in Photoshop, but when I had used it more and more to make the pages, I got the hang of it even more, and was able to use Photoshop a lot easier because I had a better understanding of most things that are included in this technology. Photoshop was a main focus when it came to making my final outcomes because it is what I've ended up creating them on. Understanding how to use Photoshop made it a lot easier when it came to making it, because I could quickly adjust and improve certain aspects that needed adjusting. This would include things like moving around the layers so things would overlap each other in the right way, adjusting the overall look of the studio image to get it to the best quality that it can be, and also the correct placement of all the writing and images of where I think that they will look best. Another technology that I used to create my media product was YouTube. This was so I could record videos and upload them to the blog to show the process in which I made part of the music magazine and show my journey of making, and also the evaluations of the research that me and my group did to find what people look for in the music magazines. To film these videos, however, I used a video camera. and then later edited them in iMovie. This was so we could get a professional look to the videos and also make them look interesting and intriguing. I have never used iMovie before, so I had to learn how to use it when it came to editing these videos. I found it fairly easy because it was simple and straightforward. However, it was a little tricky to start with whilst getting the hang of it. My skills in iMovie have now improved since before I used it. To present my work, I have used technologies such as Prezi PowerPoints and Microsoft PowerPoint presentations. Before my work on my media product, I have never used Prezi, but I found it really easy to get the hang of it and thought that it was a simple yet unique way of presenting my work. My skills in Prezi have definitely improved because of using it quite regularly. I like the outcome of my work that Prezi gives and learnt that it's more of an interesting way of presenting what I have created. I could also incorporate Microsoft PowerPoint presentations with Prezi by uploading my PowerPoint slides to Prezi. This made it even easier and quicker to make the presentations. I use the presentation technologies to show my journey of making with my media product, and I think that it is an efficient way of doing so. I didn't use Microsoft PowerPoint that much. However, I already knew how to use this technology well, so I didn't learn anything new from it, besides the fact that I could upload these PowerPoints to Prezi. Whilst making my entire media product, I've been uploading all of my progress on my journey on how I made things onto Google's Blogger. I hadn't used this before I had to make my media product, so I had to figure out how to use it and how to get the best outcomes from it. This was simple to do so, and I have laid out my work in a presentable way to make it look interesting and appealing to the eye, as well as including all the detail in my work. As a group, we all chose a simple layout design that would add a bit of colour to the blog and also make it more interesting to look at. In the progression of making my media product, I feel that I have improved on a lot of tasks and learned a lot of things from this task. I've learned how to use a lot of different technologies and also learned how to present my work in the best way to get the best overall outcome. Since my preliminary task, I have learned to understand a lot about the layout, information and skills used when it comes to making a media product. I think, comparing my final piece to my preliminary work, that I've improved on knowledge and layout of fonts, because I have experimented with what works best on pages of a magazine. I have learned what colours work best for a magazine and what impression they give for each style of genre. I also think that I have improved on my Photoshop skills. This is because in the prelim task I did struggle to adjust text and create shapes. After playing around with it when making my actual pieces, I learnt how to do this, which then became very helpful towards my final pieces.